Hi, good morning. Hey, it's 9:07, and welcome into your Thursday. It is the 18th of June, 2026, and I'm Joan Jones sitting in once again for Chris Hand. And by the way, let's just do the little programming notes here. This will be the last day of live for this week, so we'll be on running, we call them best of shows on Friday, tomorrow, and then Chris will be back on Monday, and I'll go back to my regular spot in the dust-encrusted news center. No, what do we call it? The dust-encrusted news corner, formerly the broom closet. That's where I'll be. And it'll be fun. Waking up again at 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, when I'm doing this show, I'm waking up at 4. So, so we've got a lot of things planned for you today. Let's do a little clearing here, the little clearinghouse of what's going on around the world, because there's a bunch going on. One thing that I'm watching on CNN this morning, they're saying for some reason, now I talked about this already this week, but they are for some reason expecting that the Supreme Court may make their ruling known on birthright citizenship today. So, typically they'll do it anytime they don't give advance warning or notice. So we'll know when it comes out. But it could be anytime from now till usually the end of June. So we'll keep an eye on it. I've got CNN on here so that you don't have to. And I'll be watching, and Mason's going to keep an eye on the TV too. And I'm sure Jay Harper back there doing the news, hanging in for me, is also going to keep his eyes on the TV. Are you there, Jay? He may not be. Okay, that's all right. Mason, you're here.
I'm here.
You're here, like you always are. It's so comforting.
I'm here, Joan.
Okay. Hey, yo, there he is.
Hey, yeah, what's your problem, huh?
I got your problem right here, buddy. Okay. Oh, that started me off. Good. Thanks. So here's what we got going on today. President Trump is back on U.S. soil, arriving at Andrews Air Force Base overnight, back from his trip to France and the G7 meeting. His last official act there was signing the peace deal. He was at a dinner with French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte, and they were at the Palace of Versailles. Very ornate, beautiful palace. There he is. If you're watching on YouTube TV this morning, he's made his iconic signature on that piece of paper, and that signs the deal. With around now, I said it signs the deal. It really doesn't, because that's not the deal. That's just the framework of the deal that is going to take place. He left from Versailles. He left from France at about 1 a.m. And so he had a very exciting trip while he was over there. What did he sign, though? Well, it's anyone's guess at this point, because everybody's talking about what he has signed. And Peter Doocy talked about what he knows about the deal before President Trump left, not after the signing. This was actually before the signing took place.
It's just after 1 o'clock in the morning here in Switzerland and in France, where President Trump is still at this dinner with the Macrons. Earlier today, he told me about this memorandum of understanding that he didn't know if it was the kind of document that he should be signing, but he did sign a physical copy of it, and we have been told that there is some kind of a photo that exists. So we will see that at some point, and he will be surrounded by the gilded touches of Versailles, which President Trump was very excited to see, because it is not just gold leaf there. He says it is the real thing. As for what is in this memorandum of understanding, today is the day that it all came out. There are 14 points. It's not until point number 8 that you get to the line where Iran cannot pursue a nuclear weapon. There is this $300 billion reconstruction fund that the United States will be directing and facilitating, but not donating to directly. And there is this line that the United States has to lift sanctions and unfreeze frozen Iranian assets. The United States insists that this is something that is performance-based, but it is going to be a huge moneymaker for the Iranians. And President Trump told me, I asked him today, what is the difference between just giving the Iranians a U.S. dollar and unfreezing a U.S. dollar? He says it is his opinion and Scott Bessent's opinion that if you freeze somebody's money, it is always theirs, and that at some point you have to give it back. He thinks that this is the time. Brian?
All right. So who knows if it's the time? I don't know if you've been watching any of this, but I have been glued to the TV a little bit. And I noticed that every time you see Marco Rubio on the camera, A, he's not smiling. B, he's very silent. I really haven't heard him speaking at all. And I don't know what that means. I don't know if there's anything to read into that, but it certainly feels like he either isn't digging this deal or he's just being very much in the mode that he's supposed to be in, following the president around, watching what he's doing. And, I saw him take the papers after President Trump signed those papers early this morning. He took the papers and walked with security behind him, walking away with that deal in his hand. So that was pretty interesting. And then Trey Yingst, very early this morning, reported on the deal as it was signed last night. And I think he had a couple of more interesting details about what was in the deal.
And overnight, President Trump signed the Memorandum of Understanding, formally marking the extension of the ceasefire with Iran. He was joined by French President Emmanuel Macron and Secretary of State Rubio, among others. We know on the Iranian side, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian was responsible for signing the document in the capital of Tehran. Earlier in the day, the president talked about this agreement, what it means, and what happens if it isn't enforced.
It's a memorandum of understanding. If it doesn't get done in 60 days, that's all right. We go back to bombing. I don't want to do that because it's so good. But we might have to because we're never going to let them have a nuclear weapon. But they've agreed not to, and you'll see that very clearly in the agreement. We're not putting up money. Only if they're doing things right. If they're doing things right, if people want to invest, they can invest.
On Wednesday, a U.S. official read the agreement to reporters. Within the deal includes an immediate end to hostilities across the region, including in Lebanon. The final deal must be reached within 60 days, with the possibility of an extension. This is related to Iran's nuclear program and the details that are yet to be discussed. The U.S. naval blockade of Iranian ports will end, the Strait of Hormuz will open, and the Iranians will receive tiered sanctions relief based on their performance and their agreements with the United States. Now, on the issue of negotiations, Iran's Parliament Speaker Mohammad Khalibaf, their top negotiator, said this.
The difference between the negotiations now and the previous periods is that today the flag of victory is in the field, which both enemies and friends have admitted. Our people saw the glory of the armed forces too, even though they were against the well-equipped enemy.
This is really a wait-and-see moment. The world is waiting to see if the Iranians will adhere to the agreement and if they are serious about these nuclear concessions.
Yeah, I think we all have that question, right? Are they really serious about these concessions, these so-called concessions? I do want to take issue with one of the items, and it's that number 8 that Peter Doocy was talking about, that talks about Iran and the nuclear weapons issue, which is first and foremost, right? I mean, honestly, if nothing else happened around it, if Iran can't get nuclear weapons anymore, I'm good with it. Sort of. But I want to take issue with the wording, at least as it is interpreted here by Fox. It says on the screen right now, Iran reaffirms not to develop nuclear weapons and disposal of stockpiled enriched material. Okay. First of all, the reaffirm thing, Iran affirming in the first place meant absolutely nothing. So if they're reaffirming, does it mean that they're reaffirming absolutely nothing? Secondly, neither of those statements, reaffirming not to develop nuclear weapons or disposing of stockpiled enriched material, neither of those two items say they're not going to buy nukes either. And we know that there's bad actors all around the world that would like to sell them nukes that they can put on the missiles, because I don't think the missiles are being dealt with either. I don't know about this deal. Don't know about it, but I'm going to stay positive because really that's all we got. We need to stay positive. Okay. On to other things. Now, as all of that is happening, we're also watching stocks and oil. Stocks are trading up today, and oil is trading down once again. Brent crude is down at $77 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate, $73 a barrel. That's like, we haven't seen that in a long time. And I wonder how low they can go. And if there's a tipping point, will it not be, if you get below a certain amount, is it not good? Of course, as consumers of gasoline, we think it's got to be good. But so leading to that, 4 o'clock this morning, getting ready for work, putting on my makeup. I'm through my second application of mascara, and my phone buzzes with a notification. I don't usually get notifications overnight, and I have my phone all set up for news organizations to ping me when something happens in the world. And so my phone pings, and it's CNN. And CNN is going on about, hey, gas prices hit below $4 a gallon for the first time in X number of months, however many months that must be. So I thought, all right, on my way out today, I'm going to take a look and remember the gas prices. I'm one of those people I'm really guilty of. When I'm driving and I need gas, I pull into a gas station. I don't try to find the lowest prices. I don't check where the lowest prices are historically before I go. I just stop at a gas station. Really makes my husband mad. So I did notice today that the gas prices by me are $3.49, $3.55. One of the gas stations, pretty good. And yesterday, because we have a membership at BJ's, I stopped at the BJ's to get gas. I paid $2.99 for gas. Honestly, what's the last thing you paid, Mason? Do you even remember?
I filled up at Costco on Tuesday.
Yeah.
For $3.09.
Yeah. Pretty good price. I mean, Costco is another one of them.
Yeah,
You pay the membership fee, sure, but I think you make it up in not paying the high cost of gasoline easy.
Yeah, and the places around me were about $3.60, $3.70. So that's a pretty good deal.
It is a good deal. All right, that's good. Jay, have you been checking out gas prices around you?
Always. And, it's been weird, though. I mean, in the last several days in Murfreesboro, at some stations, it was like $3.10, and then now it's like $3.59. And it went up. It was weird. But anyway, I filled up yesterday. I've got the Walmart Plus thing. You got 10-cent discount deal.
Yeah.
And I also go to Sam's too. But anyway, I paid $3.09 yesterday.
That's pretty good. Yeah. I mean, I think that we're all going to be watching the prices of gasoline come down as we approach 4th of July. I think it's going to feed into a good feeling for the administration, for Republicans. I hate even to say Republicans, for conservatives. And maybe we can carry that all the way into the midterms. Wouldn't that be nice? I mean, it would just be a terrific event if we could make that happen. All right. So there are two other things that are going on as we continue to watch the TV to see if the Supreme Court does make its ruling known today on birthright citizenship. And so we'll go over the other two big things that are happening in the world being, the United States. Those two big things that are happening. I've got those two things coming up for you right after we take this break here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's 9:20.
The guaranteed offer is the simplest, least stressful way to sell your home. You go to our website, you fill out a quick form, we set an appointment, we bring you an all-cash offer. Literally, there's no lockbox on the front of your house, there's no showings, we pay all cash, we close in as little as 21 days, stress-free. We've helped thousands of homeowners just like you sell your home the hassle-free way with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate.
Hey, this is Pastor Al, and join us on Super Talk 99.7, Sunday evenings from 7 to 8. We're going to look at the news from a biblical perspective.
I love this. Morgan Wallen has now decided to not submit his album, I'm the Problem, for consideration at the Grammys, which I think is a really, really smart move. You know why? Because last year, Beyonce won Album of the Year at the Grammys, which was absolute bullshit. Well played, Morgan. Well played.
Are Democrats waking up to the fact that 80-20 issues aren't exactly a good look to defend?
To the average person, the murder rate's about life and death. You don't brag about a rising murder rate. And the Democrats are, I agree with you, Mika, they're falling into the trap of defending what's indefensible.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Yes, it's a trap. I mean, if it's not a winner politically.
I mean, I think she's right. It is a bit of a trap to root for these 80-20 issues, men and women's sports, boys in girls' locker rooms.
No, that's not 80-20. That's 97-3.
Fair. That's 97-3. But we also have illegal alien gang member, MS-13 members, Kilmar. Democrats defend him. We've seen Democrats rooting for a recession. All these 80-20 issues, and this is what made the Democrats realize it? How long until they forget again? A few hours, tops.
More details on this ceasefire deal with Iran. Also, a very sad story coming out of New York Central Park. We'll also have the latest in unemployment numbers. That's all coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, check it out with Jay at 9:30. Okay, so while we were in break there, the Supreme Court did have something to say, but it wasn't the birthright citizenship ruling that we're all just biting our nails over. This one was about the power of the federal government to disarm drug users. So the Supreme Court, this is from CNN, the Supreme Court Thursday curbed the power of the federal government to disarm a frequent marijuana user, limiting the scope of a law enacted during the 60s to keep weapons out of the hands of Americans who regularly use drugs. The opinion, written by Justice Neil Gorsuch, it had no dissent. That's interesting. The court ruled the government's prosecution was inconsistent with the Second Amendment. So this kind of reaffirms the Second Amendment, although, you know, some people would say that maybe drug users shouldn't have guns. In many respects, the case is a narrow one, Gorsuch wrote. We do not address efforts to ban addicts or those presently intoxicated from possessing a firearm. We do not address other prophylactic laws Congress might adopt after determining that users of a particular drug pose a special risk of misusing firearms. So this centered on a guy who has dual citizenship, the U.S. and Pakistan, indicted in 2023, on account of violating federal anti-gun and drug laws. Justice Department accused him of many things. The indictment followed an FBI search of his family's home that turned up a Glock 9mm pistol and 60 grams of pot. So there you go. That's what they ruled on today. We're just still going to keep an eye. Maybe they'll have something to say today about birthright citizenship in the moments and the hours ahead. I'll keep an eye on it, and so will Mason. So there is something else happening in New York City, and that is the ticker tape parade. Do we still call it the ticker tape parade for the New York Knicks? Mamdani was out this morning with his words sounding very communist. And CNN was sort of just parroting them. It was very propaganda sounding. They said that all the viewing positions along the parade route have already been taken because so many fans are out there for the New York Knicks. Now, I don't doubt that they are, but it just sounded very propagandish. By the way, the Knicks have accepted an invitation to visit President Trump at the White House. So it turns out that the owner of the team is James Dolan, and James Dolan and President Trump go way back. They've been buds for 30 years. He said he was the one that invited President Trump to the game at Madison Square Garden that everyone lost their minds over. But remember in 2017, after the NBA Finals, both LeBron James and Steph Curry said, "I'm not going to the White House, not with that Nazi whatever." And then President Trump said, "Hey, the feeling's mutual, buds. You're not invited." So, so that's what is happening there. And then one more thing that is happening today is the grand opening of the ugliest building in the United States. Oh, yeah, the Obama Presidential Library, whatever they want to call it. Guess who's not going to be there? The Chicago Tribune said this: Trump, who has made Chicago a political punching bag since his first term, and earlier this week shared on social media an AI-generated image of the library's museum tower as a trash can surrounded by encampments. President Trump wasn't invited. But the Bushes and the Bidens are going. Also music, all their music buds, Bruce Springsteen, Stevie Wonder, Jennifer Hudson, U2, The Edge, they're all going to be there, and they're all going to be, playing for the Obamas. One thing, however, all the festivities have to be moved indoors because there's going to be thunderstorms in Chicago today. And I was thinking, what a juxtaposition. When the UFC fight happened and there were storms headed to Washington, D.C. We talked about this yesterday. What happened? The storm split, just like Moses split the Red Sea with his staff. And the event was able to go on. But in Chicago, it's going to thunderstorm and rain all over the place. So they're going to take all the festivities inside. Just one more thing about this. The Guardian out of UK had a headline about it, and they said, like a Klingon prison. Inside Barack Obama's audacious, near windowless $850 million presidential library, towering over a low-income area of Chicago and wrapped in a speech that's hard to decipher. This controversial monolith feels like a menacing sci-fi headquarters. Is it a monument or a mausoleum?
Joan, have you seen the stories about most of them are minority-owned contractors? Businesses that are owed millions and millions of dollars from this project because they haven't been paid.
Yes.
And many of them about to go out of business. You're not really, where's the headlines on that? I mean, I've seen, the New York Post has been covering that, but
that's where I saw it earlier this week too. Yep. Yeah.
So
minority, a lot of these are black gentlemen who have, businesses, welding businesses, and they're plumbers, and they're not getting paid. And they, like you said, are about to go bankrupt because President Obama has not paid these people.
Yeah, I know there was one particular contractor that said the project owes him $4 million.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
How do they do this to these people? It's crazy, and you're right. The media is not on it, not surprisingly. All right, let's take a stop here. We'll get the headlines here from Jay Harper, and he's got that for you. We'll be back in a couple of moments, 9:31 on Super Talk 99.7. Where are we? WTN.
Coming up on 32 minutes past 9 a.m., I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. The forecast is coming up. We're learning, again, more and more details about the ceasefire deal with Iran, with some financial relief going to the folks in Tehran. ABC's Mary Bruce has more.
As for the issue at the heart of this conflict, Iran reaffirms that it shall not procure or develop nuclear weapons. Reaffirms because it's the same promise Iran made in the first line of the nuclear deal struck with President Obama. But unlike the Obama deal, this agreement with Trump makes no other nuclear commitments, no plan to dispose of its highly enriched uranium. Instead, the agreement is to continue negotiating.
Chaos in Central Park in New York after an 18-year-old tourist was killed after he fell off a horse-drawn carriage while on vacation with his family. This young man he was there with his family celebrating his high school graduation. Now the young man is dead. The driver of the carriage, he's out of a job. Here's ABC's Andrea Fujii.
The man, named Romansh Mahajan, is thrown off the carriage moments before it crashes with another carriage and flips onto its side. Witnesses say the horse, named Samson, got spooked by something and ran off while the carriage driver was taking a picture of the family of four. The union representing horse carriage drivers say drivers are not supposed to leave the carriage to take photos, and the carriage owner has suspended the driver indefinitely, and the horse will be retired from the business.
First-time claims for unemployment slipped last week in line with economic expectations. The latest numbers are coming to us now from Jim Ryan.
225,000 out-of-work Americans filed their initial applications for state jobless benefits in the week ended June 13th, a decrease of 4,000. The previous week's reading, 229,000 initial filings, was the highest since February. Still, economists describe the labor market as stable and in a condition of low hiring and low firing.
And finally, back here in Middle Tennessee, 2 men are dead after a plane crashed yesterday afternoon near McMinnville. Warren County volunteer firefighters and other emergency responders, they responded to the area around noon and found an aircraft had crashed in a cornfield near, this is near Morrison Industrial Park. Officials said the preliminary investigation shows that the plane took off from a private airstrip in the Viola community and they hit a tree right after they took off. That tore the plane up. The pilot desperately trying to get back to the Warren County Memorial Airport, but apparently the plane too damaged to get back to the airport, and it crashed. The sheriff's office confirming on social media that the 2 men who died are brothers and residents of the Viola community. Just sad, sad stuff. That is the latest news. We've got weather coming up. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
I do love that music. It's very cool. It's at 9:39 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and it is your Thursday morning. One of the stories that has been in the news all week long, and it's the world's most uncomfortable story, and it's the one about the rape gangs in the UK. One of the politicians in the UK has come out with a report, and it's a well-sourced report, very well written, detailing these mainly Pakistani rape gangs, Muslim men that befriend young girls and proceed to just ruin their lives. They're young white girls. All of them young white girls, these English girls. This report says that it concludes that 250,000 young girls have been tragically raped by these gangs, and it's one of those things that kept getting covered up, that kept getting pushed to the side, and with no reason. I've heard talk about it, and I'm sure you have as well, for years and years and years. So this report came out this week, and I didn't want to talk about it. I really didn't. I just gave you yesterday the broad brush strokes of what that report said. But then I read it and I thought, I need to bring this to you. And so first, a warning that these are not stories that are compatible with young people hearing them. So if you've got kids in the room, maybe this isn't the segment for you to listen to. Maybe the kids can watch Barney or something that's safe for kids to watch, which increasingly becomes a smaller set of TV shows. I want to read some of this victim testimony. Now, I'm not reading it just because, and some super texters in the past couple of days called me a Muslim hater and I don't understand Islam and how can I do this? Listen, if you don't listen now, you can choose to put your hands over your ears and la 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 all the way through it. But it's coming your way. It's coming your way. And we need to know. And if you've got children, if you've got grandchildren, if you've got nieces that you love, if you've got anybody in your life that's young and vulnerable, you're going to want to hear these stories because there's a lot of commonalities between them. I have 4, and it's the first 4 in this report that I'll read to you. And I want you to just pick out the commonalities, which it'll become obvious very quickly. So I apologize if this may offend you. I think that you ignore it at your own risk. And so here we go. Again, if you've got kids, I wouldn't keep them in the room with you. The first victim that they detail in this report is Chloe. Now, I don't know if these are all their real names. So we'll start here. Throughout her early childhood, Chloe was popular at school, performed well academically, and enjoyed an active social life. Although her parents separated when she was young, ding, ding, ding. She describes her early upbringing as relatively stable. Following the separation, full custody of Chloe and her older brother was awarded to the father, despite his alcoholism. Her mother, on the other hand, was often absent from her life, became homeless following the separation. Chloe recalls a generally secure and supportive home environment under the care of her father. However, he died suddenly. She was only 10. So she moved in with her mother and her mother's new husband, a man she described as a pedophile by whom she was sexually abused. Chloe's mother caught her husband assaulting Chloe on many occasions, but she did not stop it. On one occasion, Chloe's mother caught her husband in the shower with Chloe, and instead of intervening, she closed the door and walked out. At this time, Chloe was 10 years old. Her father had just died, and her stepfather's abusing her. Well, the abuse escalates now to rape. Chloe started, they call it truanting, so she stopped going to school and spending time in the local town center with a friend unsupervised. She describes groups of Muslim men, primarily Pakistanis, aged 20 to over 50, showing them attention, including wolf whistling, buying them alcohol. Ding, ding, ding. Many were taxi drivers who would take the girls into their cars and drive them around town. They felt like they were pretty, they were getting attention, and that they were adults. So the grooming intensifies. Alcohol is a part of this. Emotional manipulation with the men, many of whom are related to one another. They present themselves as sympathetic friends. Physical contact, like kisses, massages, that became increasingly common. Meanwhile, the abuse by her stepfather at home had worsened. Her mother was all but absent as a guardian. At this time, Chloe had an aunt and uncle who lived nearby. She often sought refuge with them. She felt a kinship to them. They seemed to take her in. So they did. And then Chloe's uncle sexually assaulted her. She told her mother about the assault. Her mother reported it to the police, and the police accused Chloe of lying. And nothing else was done. Ding, ding, ding. So her story continues. Chloe arranges, she leaves, she's sent to homes, foster homes. But then at some point, Chloe arranges to see her friend, the one that she initially began going to the center of town with. And her friend boasted that she has a new boyfriend now. So Chloe left her house to go meet her friend. And the girls were picked up by the boyfriend, who was in fact a 25-year-old Indian man. So they go for a ride. Eventually, Chloe's friend leaves the car, and Chloe is left alone with the other man. He rapes her in the backseat of the car. That took place in 2003. In 2022, Chloe took the two men to court. Neither of them were found guilty. From that moment, Chloe's life spirals. At the age of 12, she's drinking heavily, smoking pot, taking harder drugs like ecstasy. She and her friend would spend school hours in the town center walking around until somebody picks them up in their car, somebody buys them alcohol, somebody gives them drugs. There's times, she said, when Chloe would be missing for up to 3 days, during which time she's passed between taxis, drugged, abused, raped. In every case, the perpetrators were Muslims and primarily Pakistani. Now, this story is part of the story is especially disturbing. On one occasion, Chloe says she was abducted by an abuser who was driving drunk and taken to a graveyard. He gave Chloe, who was still 12 years old at this time, whiskey before forcing himself on her and raping her. He eventually takes the bottle, forces it into Chloe's vagina, and then it shattered. So Chloe had to get herself to a hospital. They treated her at the hospital. They did not ask any questions about how she sustained such an injury. Nobody cared. This kid was 12 years old. She was examined, the glass removed, and she was discharged. Chloe was questioned by police due to her absence on a number of occasions, and each time she was asked where she had been, who she had been with, and what she had been doing. Well, she replied that she had been having sex with adult males in cars. Rather than opening an investigation and pursuing the abusers, the police dismissed Chloe as a prostitute. On one occasion, Chloe was in the town center, was identified as missing by a police officer who questioned where she had been. Chloe tells him about the full extent of the abuse, and the response of the police officer was that nothing could be done, and Chloe was let go. Her mother grounds her. She ends up back at her mother's house. Her mother grounds her for a couple of months. But fearing further abuse from her stepfather, Chloe walks to a nearby social services office while her mother's at work and reports the stepfather. Chloe's interviewed by the social workers about the abuse, after which her mother and stepfather were arrested and questioned. Both denied the abuse was taking place, and they were released without any charges. I mean, it goes on and on. The story is horrifying. A social worker approaches her about her ongoing sexual exploitation. Chloe thinks, fabulous. Somebody is finally paying attention. But she, rather than offering a solution, the social worker says to Chloe, hey, I know the producers of a TV show called Emmerdale, and they're looking for a young actress to play a victim of child exploitation. Maybe you'd be interested in auditioning because, you know, you've got the experience. This girl was failed on every single account. She goes on, she's a little older now, gets a house of her own. Then the gangs find her again. Before long, they start paying her bills. She's living on her own. They consolidate into her presence of her home. And on a number of occasions, they bring young children into Chloe's house to abuse them. So it goes on and on. Let me tell you, this is an exhausting account of Chloe's life. At the end, it says, Chloe believes that the local police, social services, NHS, the government are all fully aware of what's happening, including the radicalized nature of the crimes. But they didn't intervene for two reasons: because they could not be bothered with the paperwork and because they did not want to be seen as racist. Chloe blames these bodies and their major push for diversity for her abuse. All right, a couple more to go here. I know. It's an awful story. And I don't want you to be desensitized, and I don't want you to shut off the radio, because for heaven's sakes, you need to hear it. So stick with me here. I've got a point. I promise I do. I'm going to get to it too, right after we take this break at 9:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis from Super Talk 99.7 WTN and Nashville's Morning News. I'm here with Chris from USS, United Structural Systems. He's checking out my basement, my foundation, my crawl space to see if there's anything wrong. Fingers crossed. All right, so there's good news and there's bad news. The bad news is we found some cracks in my basement wall. The good news, I've got Chris here who's going to walk me through the next steps.
Yes, so unfortunately, your house has been subject to the pressure of the dirt. The hydrostatic pressure, heavy dirt pushes on foundation walls, and you've got a little bit of what we call bowing. So that wall is pushed in a little bit. We have a lifetime warranty solution for that. So we install, usually in a day or two, this can be done in most situations. We install carbon fiber straps, which keep the wall from moving inward at any point in the future. It's a lifetime warranty for anybody that ever owns this house. So it's a quick and routine thing that we do, but it yields some long-lasting benefits.
It's a great selling point if you want to sell your house.
Absolutely. Good thing about our warranties is they're not only transferable, like the contract says, they're automatically transferred when you sell your house. So you'll have to sign any paperwork or even send us an email saying that you sold your house. Warranty would transfer to the next owner.
Did you see this? This guy is from India. He makes a rogue illegal U-turn and an SUV slams into the back of his truck, killing 3 people inside. The highways are littered with illegal alien truck drivers killing people. How did they get their licenses?
Well, he's in California. We are working with the federal government to extradite him back to Florida. He will face incredibly severe charges here, and then he will be deported. But I will tell you that where was the role of the company in all of this? I don't think this guy spoke English. He clearly didn't know what he was doing behind the wheel. And yes, you shouldn't be giving illegals driver's license. We don't allow that in Florida. California does. They've issued probably over 1 million licenses to illegals in recent years.
Democrats always say, if we could just save one life. Imagine how many lives we could save if we required all of the truck drivers out there to speak English and be citizens of America.
Some breaking news this morning. A local commissioner booked on child sex charges. We'll fill you in here in just a little bit. Also, Defense Secretary Hegseth, he's been lashing out at NATO allies today. We'll have these stories and more coming up at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Interesting. All right. That'll be an interesting report from Jay Harper coming up at 10 o'clock. Stick around for it. Earlier this morning, we told you about the Supreme Court making that ruling that says that the federal government can't take guns from people who are habitual users of drugs, including pot. Turns out that's the law that Hunter Biden was charged under when he had that gun that he threw into the trash can. Remember this? No, his girlfriend, which was Hunter Biden's brother's wife. The story is, you know the story. You already know the story. But that gun that she threw into the trash bin behind a local store because he owned that gun and it was found and turned in, that's the law he was charged under. So that count is going to fall off for Hunter Biden. Okay, back to the stories here. The next victim of this UK gang rape story in this report that was published by one of the politicians in the UK, in Britain, is the next person is Fiona. Now, see, you heard the first story about Chloe. Now, let's take a look at Fiona's and see if you can pick up on the similarities here. Fiona grew up in a highly abusive household marked by domestic violence, severe emotional abuse, repeated suicide attempts by her mother, which Fiona witnessed. Despite exceptional academic ability, she developed serious mental health difficulties, self-harm behaviors, suicidal ideation from a young age. Now, after escalating abuse and failed disclosures, Fiona entered care, and I think that's what they mean by foster care. That's what we would call it, foster care, at the age of 13. She was placed in a children's home that had already been identified. Listen to this. It's a children's home. It sounds to me like she's either in a foster home or she's in a home for wayward kids, and it's all kids. She was placed in a children's home that had already been identified as high risk for sexual exploitation in a television documentary prior to her arrival. How could that place still exist? Inadequate supervision meant that she went missing repeatedly. At age 13, she was groomed by adult Pakistani men whom she estimates were between 24 and 45. Grooming began with affection and alcohol, quickly progressing to rape, drug dependency, threats, and trafficking. This is so similar. Care staff negligence was extreme. Abusers would sit in cars outside waiting for the girls, openly converse with staff, even phone the home to inquire about them. One care worker told Fiona's mother that her boss had described recording the men's car registration plates as above her pay grade, warning that she would lose her job if she did so. Fiona believes that the staff were aware of what was happening but felt powerless to stop it rather than being actively complicit. Nevertheless, the kids' home received £5,000 per week to care for her and failed miserably. Fiona suspects the management avoided proper investigation for fear of being labeled as a racist. There's more. There's more, and I just feel like that we need to go on. I'm going to continue with this. I want to tell you the end of Fiona's story, and then I want to tell you about Michelle, and then I want to tell you about Whitney. And I want to continue with this. We'll conclude the story coming up after the news here with Jay Harper at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 10 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A full forecast is coming up. Some breaking news this morning. A City of Millersville commissioner has been booked in Sumner County on child sex crime charges. This is according now to the Sumner County Sheriff's Office arrest records. David Gregory is 76 years of age. He's been charged with continuous sexual abuse of a child and aggravated battery. The man was booked this morning. His bond set at $1.5 million. That's according to the court records. Again, this is an ongoing investigation, and just reading this here as news is continuing to come in. So anyway, as we learn more about this, we'll certainly pass it on, but disturbing allegations, certainly. In the wake of the presidents of both the U.S. and Iran signing off on the Memorandum of Understanding ending the fighting, the head of the Pentagon, he was at a NATO meeting this morning delivering a rebuke to some of America's allies. ABC's James Longman, he's at the foreign desk in London.
Key NATO allies have welcomed the deal to stop the war in Iran, but now Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth has called those same allies shameful for not supporting the war more fully. It was widely considered a war of choice in Europe, which did not meet the requirements for collective defence. And now Hegseth has announced a review to examine the level of US support to NATO.
A lot of weather in the news all over the country. Dangerous weather continuing in the Midwest overnight, with several suspected tornadoes blasting through parts of Illinois, bringing damage and destruction to a number of towns. ABC meteorologist Ginger Z is in Illinois with the latest.
Widespread damage devastating the village of Blue Mound. The powerful twister crushing silos, pieces of wood impaling homes, downing power lines, debris scattered everywhere. The roof of Meridia Elementary School peeled back, exposed classrooms visible from above.
Half the school's roof is in my backyard. I'm in shock.
You may recall yesterday we had a missing young woman out of Bedford County, a 15-year-old girl. Well, an endangered child alert was issued yesterday for Marissa Hentz. She was last seen Monday when the alert was issued, according to TBI. But they have found this young woman safe in the state of Texas. So that's good news. No other details, though, have been released on how she ended up there. That is the latest news. We've got weather next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
And I'm Joan Jones, sitting in for Chris for the rest of this hour and the next. And he will be back on Monday, and I'll be back to the morning show. We have been doing the story about the UK rape gangs and the reports, the report that has been issued from it, and reading some of the stories. And I thank you, everybody on the Super Text line that's been supportive. This is difficult to read. It's difficult to listen to, I'm sure. Again, I think you've heard the similarities between these stories. And somebody even asked what happened to Chloe. Where is she now? She's living in Scotland. She decided she needed to get away from England and be as far away from the rape gangs, the trauma that she experienced, and she needed to start a new life. She had a baby from one of these men, and she took her child and she moved to Scotland. Fiona is the next one we'll do. Nope, Fiona was the one we were doing. Fiona. Let's get back to Fiona again. Okay, she was the one that went to a home, the care home there, telling her mother that that she couldn't record the registration plates of the cars that were waiting for her because that was above her pay grade. It went on to say that Fiona states that the greatest harm came not only from the abusers of the institutional, from the abusers, but also from the institutional disbelief, neglect, and punishment that actively enabled the ongoing exploitation. In fact, she estimates that she was abused between 50 and 100 men. Of them, only 2 were not Pakistani. All right, Michelle. Michelle is next up, her story. Michelle was physically abused in childhood by both her mother and her stepfather. Ding, ding, ding. Her mother had multiple partners throughout Michelle's childhood. Many of them also abused her. She believes this early experience created an association between abuse and love. I think that this is so common, leaving her particularly vulnerable. From the age of 13, she was groomed by 3 adult Pakistani brothers who supplied her with alcohol, cigarettes, and drugs. Ding, ding, ding. She was raped while intoxicated, including one occasion when she was taken upstairs while her sister tried to intervene. Because of her upbringing, she thought it was normal, that they were her boyfriends, that they loved her. At age 14, she was gang raped, beaten by 3 men who had locked her in a house. She was left covered in cuts and bruises, which alerted a friend. The friend told her own mother and then contacted Michelle's mother. The police were called. They claimed, though, that there was little they could do without some evidence. One of the gang members later forced Michelle to go to the police station with him and retract her statement. The police accepted him as her appropriate adult, a role normally reserved for a parent, a close family member, a social worker, and the investigation was dropped. Michelle became pregnant 4 times as a child as a result of the rapes, leading to miscarriages and abortion and 1 surviving child. Of her abusers, 98% of them, she said, were Pakistani Muslim. If not, they were Iraqi Muslim or Kurdish. Michelle believes these gangs have remained untouchable because authorities feared being labeled racist. Ding, ding, ding. She describes an extensive network of abusers operating across the entire country, calling it industrial in scale. Michelle claims she was raped between 600 and 700 different men over the course of 3 years. Last up is Whitney. Whitney grew up in a vulnerable household. Ding, ding, ding. Her mother suffered from severe mental health issues. Her father was absent from her life. She was first groomed and sexually abused by the age of 15 by 2 adult Pakistani brothers. One of the brothers, Whitney recalls, acted as a boyfriend figure. Both brothers would regularly take her to a flat in Birmingham, supply her with alcohol, ding, 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 and in her words, she would have sex with them. The interactions with Whitney soon turned violent. They began beating her and on one occasion held a hot iron to her face. Whitney recalls that the brothers stopped contacting her after they arrived at her house to collect her and found all of her uncles sitting on the wall outside. After that incident, they never came back. Many years later, Whitney's daughter began self-harming at the age of 11 and even attempted suicide. Her phone contained sexually explicit messages. Now, just a note here, because this report from the UK, the British Parliament member, said that this had happened to 250,000 white British girls over the course of decades. So it's not inconsistent to believe that this happened to Whitney, and then it also happened to her daughter. Okay, so many years later, Whitney's daughter begins self-harming at the age of 11. She attempted suicide. Her phone contained sexually explicit messages. Whitney's daughter told her that there was a sex room at school run by the older boys. Deeply concerned for her daughter, Whitney contacted social services. They offered little support beyond talking through the problems. Whitney's daughter was coerced into sending a sexual image, which was then circulated across multiple schools, the local community, eventually the internet. It led to her receiving unwanted attention from adult men of various ethnicities and multiple countries. From that point on, Whitney's daughter began going missing regularly, and her story goes on. She was threatened with violence if she contacted police, sometimes returned home with items of clothing missing. Whitney's also involved in that report from the UK, the British Parliament member. These stories, I mean, okay, let's go over the things that are common, right? So it's starting her life in an abusive home, or a home where there's a missing parent, or a home where there's mental health issues with a parent. All these things are common in every single story, right? And then these guys start paying attention to them. They treat them like adults, and they apply them with alcohol and drugs, befriend them, call them boyfriends. Then the abuse, the grooming, the abuse begins, the sex begins. They pass them on to one another. And in the UK, because you cannot be a racist because you'll end up in jail for doing it, you can't report it to police because the police won't allow you to call them a Pakistani Muslim man. You can't say it or you're going to jail. This and the school counselors, there was one account of a young girl who told her counselor about her father, her stepfather was a Pakistani Muslim man. So she goes to school and tells her counselor, who's also a Muslim man, tells her counselor, her guidance counselor, hey, listen, I'm being abused at home. When she gets home from school that day, that counselor is talking to her father. And he says to her, afterwards, the counselor leaves, the father beats her, sexually abuses her. She goes back to school at some point, and the counselor says, you shouldn't bring harm to your family. You shouldn't say that about your family. It's not right. What did these girls do? It's a horrifying situation, and it's been happening for decades in the UK. Okay, let's bring it home here. I've got this video from this is a television station in Britain, is interviewing the father of a Pakistani gang rapist, okay? His son has abused a 13-year-old girl, and he's speaking to this reporter about it. Listen to what he says.
And obviously she wasn't a virgin or new to sex.
So she wasn't a virgin or new to sex. He's blaming the victim there. Here we go.
Don't see it as rape.
I don't.
And she's 13. She's 13 years old.
Yes, obviously that's some responsibility lies for it. But as far as grooming is concerned, I think that the judge has gone over the board, the jury has gone over the board, the police has gone over the board, just because these lads were Asian.
Now, he said there, just because these lads were Asian. That's what in England they call Pakistani men of that part of the Middle East. They call them Asian. Don't get caught up on that. This man, and this is part of the problem, he blames the victim. He said she's the one to blame because his son raped this young girl. All of this is not getting by Congressman, what's his name? Brandon Gill. I think this guy is an up-and-comer, and I think you're going to see a lot of him in the future. He's from Texas, and he read through this report as well, and he said America must repel the barbaric Islamist culture. Here he is talking on the Will Cain show yesterday.
To do it now, the Trump administration, I believe, recognizes these basic truths that not all cultures are equal and not all cultures are equally compatible with our way of life or our governing system. But we've got a problem in the United States as well, and that's something that we're going to have to deal with now, because if we don't, our children and our grandchildren are going to be dealing with it. And you've seen what's happened in the DFW Metroplex, where you've seen mass Islamic migration transforming communities right here in places that you wouldn't otherwise expect. And again, this is something that if we don't stop now, it's going to be my daughter and daughters across the country who are going to be going to public schools wearing burqas, and that's the kind of stuff that we want to stop. We want to recognize that our job is to protect and conserve as conservatives. We should want to conserve the America that we got to grow up in. And you do not do that by bringing in cultures who have very different ideas about freedom of speech, religion, separation of church and state, the dignity of women, the role of women in public life, who have very different conceptions about how Muslims and non-Muslims interact. And those different ideas matter. And this is a good example of that.
All right.
I couldn't agree with him more. I can't agree with him more. I think that we need to be very, very aware as we move forward, because there are mosques opening all over this country. Now, there is a story that hit yesterday. This is from Dearborn Heights, Michigan. A $20 million mosque opened this week. Here's how the Detroit Free Press labeled it in their headline. It said, "It is a landmark for Islam in the U.S." It's 62,000 feet, a giant of a building. And where did they put it? They put it right between two churches. Right between two churches. Or as the article from the Detroit Free Press puts it, they said the mosque is nestled between two churches. See, if you've got a compliant media giving this beautiful, it makes it sound like it's cozy. It's warm and cozy in there. It's nestled between a couple of churches, right? That became number 145. 145 mosques in the state of Michigan. Now, there is a giant Muslim population in Michigan. 145 mosques in one state. I did a little digging and I found out there are 52 in the state of Tennessee. 52 mosques in the state of Tennessee. So I think that if you've got children, and especially if you have female children, if you've got female grandchildren, if you've got nieces, neighbors that you love, kids in your life, I think that it's important for us to pay attention. We've got to be alert. And there's, Monty Fritz, the gubernatorial candidate here in the state of Tennessee, has said he would pay attention and he would make sure that the state legislature picked up an effort to say no Sharia law in the state of Tennessee. Is there harm to that? Heck no. He would be looking after our children, just like I'm warning you about here. That's all I'm going to say on the subject. I think you guys get it, right? I think that we all get it. There is something about this that we really need to pay attention to. Let our neighbors across the big pond be the informants of how we move forward. It's instructive, and certainly it's something that you should know. All right, so we will get on to more stories of the day. What do I have coming up here? I think I have coming up a story about Social Security and whether or not it's going to be around for me and you. I'll try to get a little chippier, a little more happy news coming up here. But yeah, there's something to tell you about with the Social Security coming up here right after this break at 10:20 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
There used to be some common truths in America. Republicans and Democrats used to be, we could all agree that we had to have some semblance of border protection. Now, Republicans and conservatives still want border protection, but the Democrats, the progressives, they want a wide open border. It used to be that Republicans and Democrats could, at the very least, agree that crime was bad and committing crimes was bad, and that the perpetrators of such crimes should at the very least be charged and perhaps go to jail after their day in court. Now you have the Democrats that don't even believe that criminals who are committing crimes should even face charges. Just the basic, what is a man and what is a woman? The basic truth of, look down, what are you? The Democrats don't even have that right.
A Middle Tennessee commissioner facing child sex charges. Also, the U.S. Supreme Court this morning weighing in on weed lovers and other drug users. We'll have those stories at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, those weed lovers. It's 10:24 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Joan Jones sitting in for Chris Hand.
As soon as I say weed lovers, Ken Weaver walks into the studio. What a coincidence.
Coincidence? I think not. Oh, goodness. All right. Settle down back there in the dust-encrusted news corner. So, here we are at 10:25 here on Super Talk. And as promised, a story about your Social Security. Here's another thing I really think you should know about, and that is that the latest trustee report, it was released sometime, I think, earlier this week. And it's projecting that Social Security is going to run out of money in 6 years. 6 years. Now, that doesn't mean that your benefits are going to be cut off completely. What they'll do is it'll trigger automatic cuts in retirement and disability benefits. So CBS has a report on this. It says insolvency of Social Security doesn't mean that nobody gets a check anymore. It means recipients' checks would be cut by about $500 a month. Let's just say inflation is so bad that we can't afford that, because even the COLA adjustments at the end of every year, that doesn't pick up for the amount of inflation that we experience every day. So this article lists 5 things that 5 ideas that could save the program. And this requires, by the way, for a politician or politicians to have a little backbone, a little spine, and pick up this issue and take it away. So here's the 5 ways that CBS suggests that it could be solved. One of them is to fix the tax cap. So there's a cap right now that says if you at $184,500, once you've earned that much, any earnings over that aren't taxed. So one idea is to eliminate the cap and tax everything that somebody earns, even above the $184,500. Also, you could hike the payroll tax. So right now it's at 6.2% for the employer, 6.2% for the employee. What they're saying is that could be hiked to 8.5% for both, and employers and the employees would both pay 8.5% into the retirement fund. You could raise the retirement age again. This is one that I am so not a fan of because it's already at 67. I mean, holy cow. Like we're not going to live long enough to take the full retirement anymore. They say they could cut benefits for higher income earners. So not eliminate benefits, but to cut them a set amount each month. So somebody earning X number of dollars, when they get to retirement, it's going to be reduced by $1,000 a month. They've already got and honestly, these people put into the savings. They're forced to put money into it. it's controversial, but something's got to be done. The last one, and this one comes straight from Bernie Sanders. You know what this one is, right? This one is tax the rich. He wants to add a 12.4% tax on all investment and business income because right now there's no payroll taxes on things like capital gains and dividends. So he's saying add another 12.5%, it's 12.4% for investment and business income. I mean, the left just can't tax enough. But again, somebody's got to do it because we're so close to the edge right now. Politicians hate the idea of messing with it. And you know this because if a Republican does it, well, the Democrats are going to cry, they're taking grandma's money. They want to push her off. Remember those commercials? They're going to take the wheelchair right to the edge of the cliff and push her over. They're going to do that. And of course, if the Democrats do it, the Republicans are going to say the same thing. But they've got to get on it because we're going to lose our benefits. We're going to lose our Social Security if they don't act now. Social Security is set to be insolvent in 6 years. There's another story, and you may be planning to travel for the 4th of July. And I think a lot of us are going to plan to travel for the 4th of July because gas prices are lower. We're going to get in our car and drive. Now, look, you may not go as far as Washington, D.C., but if you do have plans on going to Washington, D.C., something to keep in mind. Actually, there's so much happening in Washington, D.C. on the 4th of July that they've shut down Ronald Reagan Airport. They shut it down. They said anything after noon on the 4th of July, you can't fly into Ronald Reagan. You've got to go to Baltimore or you've got to go to Dulles. There's going to be flyovers. There's going to be parachutists flying through the sky. And there's going to be fireworks over the nation's capital. So, no more flights after noon on the 4th of July. If you go to make a flight, if you go on one of the apps that you use to make a flight, you'll just find that there's no flights flying into Reagan National on that day after that time. So it's already been adjusted for you. You don't have to do anything with it. The flights have been adjusted. Okay, there you go. Coming up here, what do we have coming up? We've got our celebration. We've got our 20-year celebration of Al Gore's An Inconvenient Truth. I've been looking forward to this one because you and I were going to go down memory lane and pick out all the things that Al Gore said were going to happen. And we're going to check it out and see if they actually did happen. And I'd like to hear from you on the Super Text line if you'd like to chime in and have something to say about it. The number is 615-737-9986. I've already heard from a lot of folks, and thanks for texting in this morning. We'll get back to it right after the news with Jay Harper here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Coming up on 31 minutes past 10 a.m., I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Hang on, we'll get you that forecast here in a moment. A city of Millersville commissioner has been booked in Sumner County on child sex crime charges. That's according to Sumner County Sheriff's Office arrest records. David Gregory, 76, is charged with continuous sexual abuse of a child and aggravated battery. Fox 17's Johnny Maffey has more.
Millersville City Commissioner has been booked for child sex crimes. That man is 76-year-old David Gregory, according to Sumner County Sheriff's Office arrest records. Other Millersville City Commissioners do confirm that to Fox 17 just into the newsroom. It is the same David Gregory on the Millersville City Commission. The arrest records show Gregory is being charged with continuous sexual abuse of a child and aggravated battery. That bond right now, according to those records, set at $1.5 million for Gregory.
That story breaking this morning, this a developing story. The U.S. Supreme Court this morning is weighed in on whether habitual drug users can legally own a firearm. ABC's Devin Dwyer is at the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court's decision was unanimous, ruling that a long-standing federal ban on guns for unlawful users of any controlled substance is unconstitutional, especially as applied to a Texas man who simply consumed marijuana several times a week and was prosecuted.
Back here in the Middle Tennessee area, Nashville, beloved seafood restaurant Cock of the Walk has shuttered its doors. That restaurant's been around for 42 years. Well, they are around no longer in Donaldson. The Catfish House announced it had closed up shop along Briley Parkway. They announced that on social media and thanked the city for more than 4 decades of support. The restaurant thrived for years next to the old Opryland USA theme park. Cock of the Walk said they've already sold the property to a new owner. So another Music City institution is gone. That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
there at 10:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan Jones, and I'm sitting in for Chris Hand on this Thursday, the 18th of June. Looks like we're going to have to keep an eye on the skies today. And of course, you can count on us to be on top of the weather as it moves through the area. So, keep it right here. Stuff happening today. There are reporters asking questions of Vice President J.D. Vance at a White House briefing. They're talking, of course, about the Iran deal, the memorandum of understanding that was signed by President Trump last night. Let's take a dip in and see what is being spoken about, to see if we can make any sense of what he has to say right now.
To the Gulf states to kind of fight this battle?
Well, first of all, we believe international waterways should be free of tolls, and that's been our position. That's what you see, of course, in the 60 days of the MOU. And when you say it leaves it open, it doesn't really leave it open, except in the sense that, of course, the final negotiation is going to set the terms of what comes afterwards, right? You said, I think that it's the Omanis and the Iranians, but it's actually the MOU contemplates that the Omanis, the Iranians, and the Gulf Coast Coalition together will figure out a proper security framework for the Straits in the future. And what I mean by that is that we don't ever want this to happen again. Right? That's not about tolling. That's about ensuring that the Straits are never used as a choke point for the global economy ever again. It's frankly not what the Iranians want. It's not what the Omanis want. It's not what the GCC wants either. So what we're going to do, of course, working with our allies in the region, is to ensure that that is reflected in the final deal. And if that's not reflected in the final deal, there's not going to be a final deal. And that is, I keep coming back to this fundamental structural point of this negotiation, which is that we have all the cards. If the Iranians want the benefits of the bargain, they have to give us the things that are necessary to get those benefits.
All right. So there you go. The questions keep coming to Vice President J.D. Vance as he's doing this
both you guys, there's
discussion at the White House. Mason, you can bring that down now. And he said part of that discussion is that the 60-day negotiating period began today. So there you go. Just a little bit of information from that. If there's anything that's news that's made at this press conference, I'll bring it to you. Okay, here we are at 10:40, and it was 20 years ago on May 26, 2006, that Al Gore released An Inconvenient Truth. And of course, ABC News has this special out right now, and I just read something. When we do our news here, we use ABC News, as you all know, and as you all know, we're not necessarily thrilled about it because ABC News has a bent. They have a bent for sure. And this special that was put out by Ginger Z, and you hear her all the time doing forecasting here. And it says, the lead into it, we call it the lead in. So the lead into this it says, as the nation marks Earth Day this week. Now, this was back in 2025. This was as the nation marks Earth Day this week. ABC chief meteorologist Ginger Z takes on some of the questions people have about our climate and the weather. She reports for a series, Climate A to Z. Today, how did Al Gore do with his predictions from An Inconvenient Truth? Well, there is some video from that, and let's bring that to you first before we go ahead and introduce the rest of the stuff that he had to say. But here's a part of that.
If the scientists were dead right, why has so much been made about this documentary in what was wrong?
Well, they cherry-picked a few little, how many years before the Arctic is ice-free.
Kilimanjaro.
The snows of Kilimanjaro are complicated for sure. The main elements, as the scientific community has been very generous to confirm, are right.
Right. And Gore is right. A majority of the science in An Inconvenient Truth has come to fruition.
But let's take a look, shall we? Let's take a look because a group called Capital Research Center said some of the predictions were wrong. Now, Al Gore mentioned that the Mount Kilimanjaro one, and what did he call it? Cherry picking. He said they cherry picked. So from Capital Research Center, now this was published in 2023, Al Gore had said within the decade, back in 2006, he said, within the decade, there will be no more snows of Mount Kilimanjaro. He said to the audience in an inconvenient truth, and it occurred moments before he makes another prediction about Glacier National Park. We'll get to that one in a moment. So there's no more snow, going to be no more snows on Mount Kilimanjaro. Well, alluding poorly to the title of the Ernest Hemingway short story, The Snows of Kilimanjaro, Gore was trying to claim that Africa's tallest mountain, with a peak that stands higher than 19,000 feet, would no longer have measurable snow cover on or before 2016. So as of November 2022, snowforecast.com, a webpage for skiers, reported an average of 93 combined inches of snowfall. That's almost 8 feet. Hits just the middle altitudes of Kilimanjaro during November and December. 9 inches of combined snowfall is the average expected for the middle elevations for July and August, the lightest 2-month period for snowfall on the middle part of the mountain. So let's go look at Kilimanjaro today. Let's do a Google search for how much snow is on Kilimanjaro today. All right, here we go. It doesn't have a continually maintained measuring station. How about that? Because of its proximity to the equator, the mountain's famous snow cap is actually a retreating glacial ice cap rather than a deep seasonal snowpack. Okay, so it's not going to tell us exactly how much. We'll skip that part of it. So he was wrong. I mean, honestly, he was just plain wrong. Then he predicted... here you go. There's another one. Al Gore prediction. We have seen the last couple of years a lot of big hurricanes, Gore said in the 2006 film. The summer of 2005 has been one for the books. Well, in his history lecture on the hurricanes of 2005, Gore claimed that the lesson to learn was that we had been ignoring, quote, warnings that hurricanes would get stronger because of human-inflicted climate change. Now, in my opinion, that's two separate claims, okay? Hurricanes would get stronger, and the cause of the hurricanes getting stronger is human-inflicted climate change. Let's go on here. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, hosts a regularly updated webpage called Global Warming and Hurricanes, an overview of current research results. And the update as of October 2022, this was the story. It says, we conclude that the historical Atlantic hurricane data at this stage do not provide compelling evidence for a substantial greenhouse warming induced century scale increase in either frequency of tropical storms, hurricanes, or major hurricanes, or in the proportion of hurricanes that become major hurricanes. NOAA lists 6 named hurricanes that made landfall in the continental U.S. in 2005, including 4 major ones. What neither Gore nor anyone else knew at that very time was the hurricane silence that would follow. In 2006, not a single hurricane of any kind made landfall in the continental U.S. And then over the next 10 years through 2016, not a single major hurricane hit the United States. Not a one. During 7 of those years, 2009 to 2015, just 4 total hurricanes of any kind made landfall. 3 of them are Category 1, and 1 was a Category 2. I think we could pretty much say that Al Gore got it pretty wrong. I don't feel badly about saying that at all. From the site called factually.com, the claim that Arctic summer sea ice could disappear within a near 5 to 7 years window, that didn't materialize either. From the Horn News, one of Gore's other predictions centered around one of the United States' most iconic landmarks, Glacier National Park. Gore tells a story about how he personally climbed Glacier National Park with his daughter. That happened in 1998. And then it shows pictures of less glacier activity in the mountains. He then makes this shocking prediction of what would happen to the park. Within 15 years, this park will be formally known as Glacier. The park added signs to announce that prediction. There were signs, the signs that you see at national parks, and it said that this park is going to be glacier-free by 2020. So get a good look at it now. Take all the pictures you can. Ladies and gentlemen, the glaciers are still there. We are at 2026, and we've still got glaciers on Glacier National Park. You know what's not there? The park signs, because the people who work in the national parks remove the park signs that were all wrong based on Al Gore's prediction. Why did they pay attention to this in the first place? It's an acknowledgement that he's all wrong. Now, in addition to the glaciers here in the U.S., Al Gore also mentioned Argentina and Peru as countries where glaciers are in danger of disappearing. However, today in 26, there are still glaciers in Argentina and in Peru. In fact, one travel log from 2025 posted photos of now I don't know if I'm going to get all these names right, the El Pretito Moreno Glacier in Argentina, with a comment that said, just west of El Calafate, this frozen river is one of the few glaciers in the world that's still growing. I'd say Al Gore got it all wrong. Predictions of cataclysms stemming from climate change regularly get reported in the media, but there's little reporting when the predictions fail. In 2022, NBC News was one of the many outlets reporting that California and the American West were in the midst of what they called a mega drought. Do you remember this? We also saw video footage of lake areas that were completely dry, cracked at the bottom, and it was the worst the region had seen in over 1,000 years. Although we don't have data that reaches back to 1,000 years, you have some. We don't have data that says eyes were on it. Okay, don't write to me and tell me that there's data. No eyes were on it 1,000 years ago. Earlier this month, NBC reported that California is drought-free for the first time in 25 years. The article makes no mention of the previously predicted mega drought, nor does it mention climate change. And to top it all off, I mean, honestly, you know that this was picked up by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. This mantle was carried far and wide. It was 13 years ago that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was telling people that the world would end in 12 years because of burning fossil fuels, because of you people burning fossil fuels. So let's celebrate that Al Gore was all wrong. And we can acknowledge that Al Gore was all wrong, even if Al Gore can't acknowledge that Al Gore was all wrong. Al Gore was wrong. We're still here. We're thriving, folks, and things are good. 1050 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Drivers, we got an injury crash in Hermitage Central Pike at Lebanon Pike. Middle Tennessee facing at least a level 1 out of 5 risk of severe weather
If the scientists
today.
were dead.
At more coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well done, Ken. Just keep rolling on. Sorry about that, bud.
That's all right.
You know, I'm just the rube over here on this side, not really understanding how to use the equipment over here.
Things are different on the other side of that glass over there, Sister John.
You know what, Ken? They really are.
But
They
you're
really
doing
are.
a fine job.
Ah, thank you. I am looking forward, however, to going back to my little corner over there and letting Dan handle this.
Yeah, it's not that dust encrusted either.
It's not.
No.
They take better care of the hosts than they do of me and you.
Well, they just stick us off back in this little corner. We don't have a window.
Right.
I mean, at least we do have a Tennessee and an American flag behind us.
Yes.
I do appreciate that.
I like that. You get to see the back of Mason's head and
Yeah, man.
all the producers' head, Jackson's head. I see the back of Sam's head all the time.
I get to watch Mason's hair grow bigger every day.
It does every day. All right, Mason.
And it's magnificent.
Do us all the favor here and tell us, like, are you just going to let it grow out? Are you doing the fro thing?
It's just going until I've told Chris before, it's going until I hit my goal weight. And I'm down 45 pounds right now.
You
so
look
we'll
great,
see how far
dude.
this goes.
You look fantastic.
You look great.
I appreciate it.
Wow, 45 pounds. Good for you. What are you doing?
Dieting, a little bit of exercise, getting my steps in.
Yeah.
The ones that you see as like stereotypical online,
Yeah.
they're just the tried and true, and it's helped me a lot.
You know, it always
That's the way to go, Brother Mason.
It always goes back to, you know, what goes in and what comes. Like it's math.
It is.
You
It
know?
absolutely
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, less calories and you know, a little exercise to burn it off.
Yeah,
Well,
I
good
didn't.
for
I didn't think I'd be doing this much algebra, but it's making it a little complicated. But I'll manage. I'll
Yeah.
manage.
Well, you look fantastic, and now we know the story of your hair, so that really helps us.
Yeah, Chris wants to put it in half cornrows and leave the other side froed, and I'm like, I don't think I like that idea.
He's just busting on you.
Yeah, he's not here to defend himself, but I think it's
Yeah, it's a dumb idea.
he wants to do it for July 4th. So we'll see what happens.
That's really nice of him
what
to want to do your hair like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope he hires the beautician to do it.
Yeah, if he pays for it,
Yeah.
then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, yeah.
Let that beard keep growing too, dude.
I know, I can't
says the
compete
man
with
with
you,
the
man.
beard, right?
Get those Lemmy lamb chops, man. Lemmy from Motorhead.
Big old sideburn.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, it looks good. Don't stand too still, though, because a bird could land.
It has been attempted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to get one out of my beard for 3 years.
Very
Like
nice.
chipmunks.
Hey, did you guys? I didn't know this. There are a lot of people in the super text line were telling me, "Hey, listen, Phil Valentine had a movie that was a counter to the Al Gore movie."
He did.
Yeah, it's called An Inconsistent Truth, and I looked it up. What did it say? Global warming debunked. Global warming debunked. Now, I thought this was really funny because it's on Google Play, and it says, here's the description about this movie. An Inconsistent Truth is a 2012 documentary film produced and featuring nationally syndicated conservative talk radio host Phil Valentine and directed by Shane Edwards. Valentine, who denied climate change and disagreed with the scientific consensus on global warming, interview people who deny that there is a consensus on the issue of global warming or climate change, some of which are scientists about the validity of Al Gore's film, An Inconvenient Truth, and the facts presented within. The film agrees that global warming proponents keep changing its label, basing their argument on what Valentine claims is shaky scientific ground. So it's on Google Play. I don't know if you can actually watch it there, but I'm going to try to find it and see if I can also watch it because I never knew that he had this film, and it's worth checking it out. It's 89 minutes long, so a little something you can do after dinner, right? Just interesting. I love that people brought that to my attention. Thank you so much, Super Texters. You're the best. Okay, let's get updated here on what's happening in the world with Ken Weaver, and then we will get back at you right after the 11 o'clock news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
11 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. All of Middle Tennessee going to be facing at least a level 1 out of 5 risk for severe weather today, starting around 1 o'clock today. That'll run until 9 o'clock tonight. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. What remains of Tropical Storm Arthur centered on the northeast Texas coast, but its flooding extends all the way to Mississippi and beyond.
It just went from nothing to we're going to lose everything.
That is Christina Mallett. She lives in Picayune, Mississippi, northeast of New Orleans. With radar estimated rainfall rates of 6.5 inches per hour in some places, the entire northern Gulf Coast under a threat of severe flooding. A Millersville city commissioner is facing serious child sex crime charges in Sumner County. 76-year-old David Gregory has been charged with continuous sexual abuse of a child and aggravated battery. Arrest records show Gregory was booked Thursday, being held on a $1.5 million bond. City leaders calling the allegations, quote, horrifying. They say the investigation's ongoing. And the U.S. Supreme Court this morning has weighed in on whether smoking or consuming marijuana means you should not be allowed to own a firearm. ABC's Devin Dwyer covers the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court's decision was unanimous, ruling that a long-standing federal ban on guns for unlawful users of any controlled substance is unconstitutional, especially as applied to a Texas man who simply consumed marijuana several times a week and was prosecuted.
Justice Neil Gorsuch, who wrote the opinion, said it is a narrow one and says it limits but does not end the government's power to take guns away from drug users. Lower Manhattan, packed with Knicks fans ready to celebrate the NBA champions with a ticker tape parade up the Canyon of Heroes. And in the wake of President Trump's and the leaders of Iran signing off on the MOU ending the fighting, the head of the Pentagon was at a NATO meeting this morning delivering a rebuke to some of America's allies. ABC News chief international correspondent James Longman at the Foreign Desk in London.
Key NATO allies have welcomed the deal to stop the war in Iran, but now Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has called those same allies shameful for not supporting the war more fully. It was widely considered a war of choice in Europe, which did not meet the requirements for collective defense. And now Hegseth has announced a review to examine the level of US support to NATO. James Longman, ABC News in London.
First-time claims for unemployment slipping last week in line with economists' expectations. 225,000 out-of-work Americans filed their initial applications for state jobless benefits in the week ending June 13th. That's a decrease of 4,000. The previous week's reading, 229,000 initial filings, was the highest since February. Still, economists describe the labor market as stable and in a condition of low hiring and low firing. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
there. It's 11:06 now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Joan Jones. And yeah, Chris will be back on Monday. Stand by. On Friday, tomorrow, we will be running best of shows. So it's not going to be a live show tomorrow. So you'll have to wait until Monday for all the live stuff. And then at that time, I'm going to go back into the newsroom, and Dan will be back from his vacation on the beach in Florida somewhere. And somebody better bring me some sand from a beach. That's all I got to say. Somebody better do it. So it's a day where there's some things happening, including that the president returned home from France. He landed at Andrews Air Force Base early this morning. If you've ever visited Andrews Air Force Base or that area, I used to live not that far at all, like a couple of miles from the Air Force Base. And I would drive home. I worked in Washington, D.C., and I would drive down Suitland Parkway was the name of the roadway. And every once in a while, so I had, I liked having convertible sports cars. So I had a little Miata, and then I had a 570 Z car. I love the Z cars. I had a few of them in my lifetime. So I had a Z car, and both of them had convertibles. And I'd be driving home, not even thinking about it. And all of a sudden, a giant plane would roar right over the top of the treetops, landing at Andrews Air Force Base and scare the daylights out of me. I can't tell you how close it comes to the roadway when you're driving on that stretch of roadway right next to Andrews Air Force Base. A number of times it was one of those, what do they call it, a C-130, the super big planes. And man, they just look like monsters in the sky. And you cannot fathom as you're watching them, how do they stay up in the air? It's a giant of a floating vessel. Anyway, little just shot down memory lane there, and thanks for going along with me. So the presidential library, the Obama's presidential library, the ugliest building in all of America, is opening today, and they're all outside. Everybody's dancing. I think somebody's up on stage singing. They did manage to get outside today for this event. I'm not spiteful at all, and I'm not that kind of person that would wish for like the skies to open with a lot of rain and thunder and lightning. I am not like that. No, there's not a bone in my body that would think that that's a good idea. Not a one.
I might think it a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it may be up there, like it could happen, right? And
but I never speak into existence.
Right. I would never. No way. So then Vice President J.D. Vance, President Trump, maybe he's getting some sleep finally because he's really been on a whirlwind. He did the fight, the whole weekend thing and learning about this, the potential terror attack on the UFC fight on Sunday night. And then he lifted off right from there to go to the G7. And then he flew home last night. The man needs some rest. So J.D. Vance is out there talking about what this deal is. And of course, the reporters were beating him up just a little while ago, asking all kinds of questions. And of course, the main question is, why is Iran getting so many things? They're getting so many benefits out of this. And they it's like we're paying them to be awful. Here's what he had to say about that.
Now, what I would say to some of the critics of the deal that I've heard that will say, well, Iran's going to get all this benefit. I'll repeat what I've said, and I'm probably going to have to repeat it a number of times, is what is the benefit that the Iranians get that they didn't have before? And the answer is nothing. They don't get anything unless they change their behavior. If they change their behavior, that is a thing to celebrate. That's going to transform the Middle East for a generation. If they don't change their behavior, they don't get the benefit of the bargain. And I think, I got to be honest, I think fundamentally this idea that, and it's a misrepresentation of the MOU, this idea that the Iranians get all these benefits before the deal is actually consummated. The idea that they get benefits before they change their behavior is fundamentally a talking point that is issued by people who want the conflict to continue indefinitely, despite the fact that that's not good for the American people and it's not good for the region. Way in the back.
Yeah, so there you go. And one more thing that he said, which I just got such a kick out of this. I don't know if you saw yesterday when President Trump said, was it yesterday? When President Trump said something like, you know, it's a good deal. And, you know, I fully expect to take credit for it. And if it's not a good deal, then, you know, it's J.D. Vance's fault. It's J.D.'s fault. And so a reporter, of course, had to ask him about that.
President Trump said yesterday that he was going to blame you if the talks of the round go sideways. Are you worried that he's going to make you the fall guy?
No, not at all. I mean, I think the president was joking, but as he often does. But no, I think, look, the entire team has worked very well on this, and we've got this thing to a very good place for the American people. Now, I have seen some progressive criticisms of me personally saying, what experience does the Vice President of the United States have?
Yeah, there's been a lot of that talk, too. So J.D. Vance there talking about that deal that ended up being, you know, signed by the president before he left the Palace of Versailles yesterday. And he is now home. And as I'm watching the TV, I have it on CNN, so you don't have to watch. But the Bushes just arrived, and the Clintons are both there. Up, here they come. The Bidens are there. Jill's leading him around by the hand, ladies and gentlemen. Jill's leading him around by the hand. And he's now approaching the stage, going on the other side of the bushes, right behind them. And she's leading him right to his spot. Joe, stay here. Stop, Joe. Yeah, so there they are. They're on the stage now. Big old tuba player right next to Hillary. Okay. So let's move on. We've got a couple of court clerks that are in hot water. They're from Utah. And yesterday, they were indicted for what they did on the job. Now, it's not that they were indicted for doing something off the job, but this is something that they did while they were working. This pair of knuckleheads realized that there was an ICE officer who had come in and was looking for an illegal immigrant. And that illegal immigrant was in court. So the ICE officer goes out to his car and sits in the car, and he's waiting because, you know, he's waiting for the court case to be done before he goes in and picks up this illegal immigrant. And in fact, there were more of them there that day. So the pair snuck the illegal immigrants. Now, these are two court clerks. They snuck the illegal immigrants out of the courthouse back door because they knew that the agent was sitting in the front, outside the front door, waiting for him to finish up court. So here's KUTV reporter Liv Kelleher on this story.
According to court documents, Jennifer Joma and Lauren Morrow accessed the court's database and identified everyone there who was not born in the U.S. They allegedly moved those people out of the courthouse through a back door and past the ICE agent before driving them away in a personal car. To this, Cache County residents had a mixed response.
I don't like ICE, so I'm okay with it.
If there are those aiding and abetting, then there are laws that they should be prosecuted in that space.
Former United States Attorney for Utah, John Huber, says this is the first case of its kind he's seen in the state.
Look, we can all have our deeply held political or philosophical beliefs, but when we try to impose those upon others by breaking the laws and standards of society, that's when we leave the safety net. And you can't say this is a matter of free speech when we're openly breaking the law or accused of breaking the law. So I think a lesson to be learned here is that federal authorities are serious.
Yep, they're serious. So what didn't help their cases is that as they were ushering the illegal aliens out the back door, they turned around knowing that there's a surveillance camera on the back door. They turned around to the surveillance camera and gave them the middle finger. Just flipping anyone off that decided that they were going to do something about these two women. They were indicted by a grand jury. They were arrested yesterday, and they could get some potential time in prison for what they did, and they should get time in prison. There is a story out there. In fact, we talked about this before Brian left this morning. The Englishman that visits the U.S. and realizes that in the U.K., he's got no rights as far as gun rights. And he thinks, wow, how does it that I missed this my whole life? I'm here in the U.S. and I can go shoot at a range, and guns are part of the culture. And here I am living in Britain where they don't allow me to have a gun.
One of the things that's become extremely apparent to me after spending a few days here with a group of Americans and other nationalities is how much of a English people are in general when it comes to arms, guns, and basically protecting the nation. We've been totally pacified in the UK, and through removal of our arms, our right to bear arms, it's caused a big problem for us. And now our government is basically turning into this absolutely tyrannical, feminine leadership that is gradually eroding all of our rights. And there's really not much we can do about it. One of the things.
No, they've already given up their guns. England has already given up their guns. And I'll say again what I said earlier this morning, and that is that the only thing that stands between American citizens and the tyranny of our government is our guns. Don't let them take our guns away. Don't even let them think about it. Let them know that that's where it's sacred space, and they're not going to get there. Now, there's a story out of Colorado about defending yourself. Workers at Colorado businesses have the right to defend themselves against unprovoked workplace violence, according to the Colorado Supreme Court. This came out on Monday. Marianne Moreno is 72 years old. She's been working at a Circle K store as a clerk there for 16 years. In October of 2020, a guy comes into the store acting erratically. He gets close to her behind the counter. He's got 2 knives, according to court records, and she pushes him before he eventually steals some cigarettes and runs out the door. The next day, little Marianne Moreno, the 72-year-old woman who's been a clerk there for 16 years, got fired. Her bosses fired her, and then she got an attorney. This was obviously a devastating experience for her. She had this low-wage work. She dedicated herself for 16 years to this company, and the next day they just fire her after this traumatizing experience. According to her attorney, there was zero sympathy. Well, the High Court said in an opinion on Monday that people do have the right to challenge their terminations for actions taken in self-defense. The case is now going to go to a federal district court, and she can sue her employers. But this woman's 72 years old. Like, this should never have happened. This should never have happened at all. I'm just glad that she's got the right to go ahead and sue her employers. There is a video that's making the rounds on the internet about, and this has to do with Israel and the anti-Semitism that exists around the world. And I could not believe that this anti-Semitic behavior also existed here in the U.S. That statement I'd like to take back. We've seen it over and over again, and so I apologize for that statement. I don't want to hear about it on the super text line. I revoke that statement. This video is of soccer fans at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. One of these fans has an Israeli flag wrapped around his shoulders, right? And FIFA officials come up to him and tell him he's got to take it off, and then they confiscate it. They take it away from him. And he turns around and he says to them, hey, a few rows up, hey, look at those guys up there. They've got the Palestinian flag wrapped around their shoulders, and they're taunting him, and nobody's saying anything to those guys. The Palestinian flag guys were allowed to stay. Here's the exchange as it went.
And the house, which is the facility here, is asking to remove this flag for your safety. Okay? How about, why can't you remove that flag?
Why can't you remove that flag, he says.
You guys removing this flag, but you guys are removing my flag. It seems like a little anti-Semitism is playing a part here. No. When you guys remove that flag, once you remove that, I'll remove mine. So you don't want to watch the game then? You guys aren't trying to remove the flag? You remove the flag, you have to leave. What was that one more time? If I remove my flag, but these guys can keep their flag. I don't know what, I didn't make the call. Who's making the call?
The FIFA officials.
Okay, time to come. How come they can't remove their flag? You see the 2 young ladies up there? Why aren't they flag? We're not trying to make this difficult. You are making it difficult.
Oh, we're not trying to make it difficult for you, buddy.
So why don't you take his flag?
I don't know. I don't make the rules. They just told us to let him know. That's all.
Yeah, so he's trying to get the FIFA officials to take the Palestinian guys' flags away, too. But they don't. They don't do it. They tell him that they're asking him to remove his flag for his safety. Oh, we've heard that one before. His first name is Roni. Roni told security that if Palestinian flag was removed, he would remove his too. Another staff member said that if he didn't give up his flag, he would have to leave the stadium. And they said it was the call of the FIFA officials nearby. I don't make the rules. I'm just doing what I'm told. So there you go. That happened at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. All right. Checking in here with Ken Weaver. We'll find out what's coming up in the news and then back at it again here at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is right now 11:22.
the U.S. Supreme Court has sided with a marijuana user in a unanimous decision. And here in Middle Tennessee, a long-time public official has been arrested on child sex abuse charges. And the head of Apple warning about bigger prices, or rather, I should say, higher prices. All that and more coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Either way, we don't like that, Ken Weaver.
Yeah, I like it whenever prices go down.
Yes, don't we all?
I mean, I really like that.
Well, so we were talking earlier about the price of gasoline. What's the latest you paid for gasoline?
I paid $3.44 at the start of the week.
Okay.
$3.44, yes.
So it's coming down, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, a lot. It was a lot better than the $4.29 that I paid about 3 weeks ago.
So what we're going to do is save money on gasoline and spend it on our, what was it, Apple products?
Yeah. Apple says, "Hey, man, we've got a lot of bills to pay, and you folks are going to help us do it."
Yeah, that's nice of them. That's really nice of them. Well, the good news is that we are paying less, and I just checked too on the stock markets, looking at oil prices right now. Brent crude is at $77 a barrel. That it was the same thing earlier, and right now the West Texas Intermediate $74.84. And as Chris,
I like that.
Yeah, as Chris always says, when gas prices go up, they like shoot up like a rocket and they come down like a feather.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be a while before it really spells into some savings for us. But
it's going in the right direction.
That's the point. I love it. Okay. Thank you, Ken.
You betcha, Sister John.
Yeah. We do have, by the way, a little bit more information about that, the plot to attack the White House. Fox News this morning reporting that one of those five guys, we've all seen the pictures of the five guys that have been arrested. One of them was the ringleader, and it was the guy that's always at the bottom on the right-hand side with a lot of hair. Got a big bunch of hair. His name is Abraham Alvarez. Identified in federal courts as the alleged ringleader of the plot to carry out a mass casualty event at the UFC White House event June 14th, is an illegal immigrant from Mexico who overstayed his visa, according to Homeland Security information. Oh, you're not shocked? I wasn't shocked either. Nope. Alvarez came to the U.S. as a child. He was granted by the Obama administration in 2014 deportation relief through the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, the DACA program, after he failed to leave the country when his B-2 visa expired in 2001. So he shows his appreciation for the country that took him in by setting up to a plot to attack the White House. 5 co-conspirators arrested so far this month for allegedly planning to use drones equipped with explosives. Federal investigators claim that Alvarez was the one responsible for planning, organizing, and directing the planned attack. Court records ousted Alvarez as a foreign national, considering he consented to a consular notification after his arrest this weekend, though the documents provided no information on his specific immigration status nor his country of origin. I don't know how they found out then. They lodged a detainer. ICE lodged a detainer against him. He was arrested in Omaha, Nebraska. So it looks like our friend, the guy that we gave him a home, let him stay here, let him stay longer than he should have stayed here. He decided that the way to pay us back was to go ahead and plan an attack against us. Guy right from Mexico. So there you go. That is the latest news on that. There are just some interesting tidbits of news and a little something that we can laugh about that I've got for you coming up after Ken Weaver gives us the news here. It's now 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, everyone in Middle Tennessee is under at least a level 1 out of 5 risk for severe weather today. Now, it's higher east and northeast of Nashville. That's at a level 2. We're talking about an 8-hour window from 1 o'clock this afternoon to 9 o'clock tonight. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Remnants of what was Tropical Storm Arthur, the first named storm of the hurricane season, are dumping a lot of rain on some of our neighbors here in the south. Here's Ginger Z.
It has been a wreck in New Orleans overnight. So much lightning and tornado warnings. Also, rainfall rates more than a half-foot per hour. That is so hard to do. The atmosphere is just pouring, and that's why we see a rare high-risk level 4 out of 4 in parts of Mississippi, Alabama, Florida Panhandle today, but a significant flood risk that goes all the way up to Atlanta.
In our nation's capital, the U.S. Supreme Court has sided with a marijuana user in a unanimous decision. The justices ruling the government cannot automatically ban someone from owning a gun simply for using marijuana. The case involved a Texas man prosecuted under a decades-old federal law. The court says marijuana use alone is not enough to strip away Second Amendment rights, but it does not eliminate federal restriction. And here in Middle Tennessee, a longtime Millersville public official has been arrested on child sex abuse charges. 76-year-old David Gregory is accused of continuous sexual abuse of a child and aggravated battery. He was booked into the Sumner County Jail, bond set at $1.5 million. And the head of Apple warning purchasing their products could soon be taking a bigger bite out of your wallet, says ABC's Sophie Flay.
CEO Tim Cook says customers should expect price hikes, telling the Wall Street Journal they're unavoidable. Cook did not say when the increases will take place or on which products they'll affect, but he did tell the Journal the upcoming price hikes are being caused by an ongoing shortage of memory and storage chips.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Elon Musk's privately funded tunnel from downtown BNA.
The most cutting-edge transit systems in the world.
They call it the Music City Loop. We call it the BNA hole.
We've submitted a list of questions, and so we're looking forward to the opportunity to get answers.
Questions like, how does a tunnel work? Or how can I be the biggest a-hole in the room without even trying? Because clearly, the fiscally responsible thing to do is to keep traffic backed up until every driver becomes an a-hole. The BNA hole. Zero cost to the taxpayers, and that's the real problem for the left.
I kind of think that's on brand.
Not enough opportunity to play tax collector a-hole. The BNA hole, where progress goes to upset liberals.
This is massive. This is Armenia and Azerbaijan. This is nearly 4 decades of fighting in the region. Both leaders of each nation are coming here to the White House.
For more than 35 years, Armenia and Azerbaijan have fought
a bitter conflict that resulted in tremendous suffering for both nations. They suffered gravely for so many years. Many tried to find a resolution, including the European Union. The Russians worked very hard on it, never happened. Sleepy Joe Biden tried, but you know what happened there. He tried for probably 12 minutes and didn't work out.
Have you seen this done with any other president, the way he's leveraging the economy and trade?
Absolutely not. I mean, this is 7 peace deals in 7 months, and it's unbelievable. I mean, President Trump is the only guy who can come together and do it. He can do it right.
Hey, it's 11:36. Last few minutes here of the Chris Hand Show that I get to do. And then on Monday, you'll get Chris back again in his normal spot, and I'll go back to my normal place on the morning show, and Dan will be back, and everything will be right with the world. Sort of. There's so much I wanted to get in here before we go. And one of the things I just really like, I'm so focused on not the soccer matches, because I don't care about soccer matches, but I do care about all the people that are here in the United States. And we just did that story about the ungrateful illegal immigrant, who is, we've learned just this morning that he's the guy who set up, who planned the whole attack on the UFC fight night at the in Washington, D.C. on Sunday. And then I came across this video on the internet as I was watching, I think it's a parade or something, where they've got the flags of all the countries as they're coming through. And I don't even know where this is, but they're coming through with all the flags. And so there's Mexican fans standing outside, and it actually looks like it might even be in Mexico by these buildings. But here they are. They're cheering. There's the Mexican flag. Yes, cheer, cheer, cheer. Oh, they're watching it on a Fan Fest video. Did you hear the boo? That was because the American flag just went by. They booed the American flag. Here's Canada. America. Like, seriously, Mexico, you send us all your people. It's unbelievable that that's the way that they would greet the American flag. Isn't that crazy? Here's another one. I'm just going through all the video stuff and all the little last stories. I guess this could actually be the lightning round. This could be the lightning round. What do you think about that, Mason?
I'm here for it.
You're here for it?
It's the lightning round.
Oh, yeah.
With Chris Hand.
Oh, yeah. Not with Chris Hand, but yeah, I'm going to steal his stuff and I'm going to make something of it. So here we go. There's more stories, and these are just the glorious stories that I just can't get enough of. So I found this story on the internet, too. It's a leftist mom who decided she was going to do something about the one guy in the neighborhood that has a huge flag post, and he's got the American flag up top, and then he's got the Trump flag underneath of it, and she decides that that's not how she wants her neighborhood to go. So here she goes.
So I live in a super, super liberal city, which is amazing, but we've got this one neighbor who loves Trump and he wants everyone to know it. And he just put in a little free library in his yard, which is great. So my 7-year-old and I today decided to make sure that the contents of that library were more aligned with our community's values. So we printed out some resources to access abortion care online, and we printed out some stuff about the Trevor Project, which supports queer youth. And we got some stickers to throw in there, and then we got some books, mostly from my shelf and also some from our local used bookstore that I think are important for people to read. And we restocked the library, and I think it looks great now. But the thing that really upset me about this neighbor is that he's had this Trump flag up for years. He recently took it down, don't know why, but I noticed the day that he put it back up was the day that the Pride Festival started in our city downtown. That feels pretty icky to me, so I'm gonna make sure that his little library is stocked to the best of my ability with everything that people really need to know.
I see the worst part of that story is that she's got a 7-year-old who she's doing this with, and the 7-year-old thinks, hey, it's okay if mom goes out there and stuffs the little kid's reading box with abortion material. Like, these people are insane. It's just insane. So now I'm going to go search these boxes. I'm going to go see what's in the boxes. And if there's stuff that's inappropriate for little kids, guess who's taking it out? I encourage you to do exactly the same thing. You don't know what people are putting in these boxes. And this is really one of those ways that they can groom your children. Do me a favor, go search a box like that you see around your neighborhood. And if you find something in there, please take it out and then let me know. Take pictures. Let me know. You can always hit me up on my email, which is joan.jones@cumulus.com, or you can, find me on the internet. I'm on X at JoanJonesWTN. There's all kinds of ways. I'd like to know. There's another story out there about... it's another Harry Enton story. You know who Harry Enton is, right? He's that guy on CNN, and it's the next story in our lightning round. Mason, I almost forgot to say it.
I almost forgot. We're good, though.
What's wrong with me? All right, this is Harry Enton talking about his latest poll, and the latest poll that he got is an amazing one. You're going... It's one of those patriotic polls. This is going to make your head explode.
One of the most stunning divides that we have seen. We're talking about polarization in politics. It even comes down to what you believe July 4th actually is. Like, what does July 4th mean to you? Celebrate America, friends and family time. Among Republicans, what do you see? You see the clear majority say it's a time to celebrate America, 65%. Among Democrats, however, the plurality disagree. Look at that. What do you see? Friends and family time at 42%. Versus just 24% who say that what it means most of them is to celebrate America. So even on the basic question of what July 4th means to you, we have Republicans on one end saying celebrate America, more of them say that, and Democrats on the other end saying that it means more to them to have time with friends and family.
What do they say about the flag?
Yeah, okay, so
here you go.
What do they say about the flag? Even on the basic level of flag, look at this. Look at how we have an increasing polarization on this issue. We'll display the flag on July 4th, the American flag. Back in July of 2001, look at this. You had 68% of Republicans, 65% of Democrats saying that they would, in fact, display the flag on July 4th. You come over to this side of the screen, Republicans basically are where they were 25 years ago, right? 64%. But look at that Democratic percentage, absolutely plummeting. Just 27% of Democrats say they will, in fact, display the flag on July 4th.
These people are creeps. Like, you will not put an American flag up on the 4th of July? Why? It's unbelievable. And it's time to spend with the family. No, it's not time to spend with the family. It's appreciating that we have our independence and our freedom. That's unbelievable to me. And not only because of that, but because it wasn't that long ago that this is... I forget her name. She was on MSNBC at the time. I'll see if I can find her name. And she talked about the absolute patriotism of the left. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah. Oh, I can't find what her name is, but you'll recognize her from MSNBC if you're watching on the Super Text. I'm sorry, on YouTube. If you don't, she's one of the regulars on MS. I guess it's now MS. Now? Yeah, okay.
I did name all day. It's MSNBC.
Yeah, exactly. And she was talking about the Democratic National Convention.
And I think Willie hit the best note, which was they have reclaimed patriotism, right? Wes Moore has been trying to do this and talking about it since he started running for governor of Maryland 2 years ago. But think about the amount of flags and stars and stripes we've seen over the last few days. If the volume was down on your TV and you were squinting, you might think you were watching the RNC. And this is so rattling for Donald Trump. And I think
it's so rattling for Donald Trump that now nobody on the left wants to display their flag anymore. Like, honestly, these people are just amazing. Let's do another one here. Oh, this one's a lot of fun. All right, Mason, I have a question for you. This is the next story in our lightning round. It's so satisfying to hear that. I think we're going to hear a little bit of that later on today as well. Can you read cursive writing? If somebody sent you something that's written in cursive, would you be able to read it?
It might take me a second, but because it's been a while since it's been in my purview, I guess. Nobody's sending cursive letters to me
Do you
anymore,
write in cursive at all?
Say it again.
Do you write in cursive at all?
Not anymore. I grew up learning it. It was taught in school for me.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's not my go-to.
Yeah.
My go-to is chicken scratch currently.
My kids always tell me not to write to them in cursive writing because they can't read it. And I thought, why is that? I mean, I know they're not teaching in the schools anymore, but here's proof that our civilization is going to heck. This is somebody out on the streets with a camera, and they've got these cards, and they're showing these adult people cards with cursive writing on it, and they can't even read it.
Read this word.
Zelma. I learned cursive in 3rd grade.
Read this word. Hey, the word up on there. You gotta go to another car. Read this word.
This cursive? I can't read cursive.
This is a Z or a Q. You tell me.
What that say? Yeah, yellow.
Read this word.
Your spelling sucks.
Read this word. Corella. Corella. That's a J. J. I don't know cursive. Read this word.
Cursive. What the?
Read this word. Crema.
Sprelmo?
It said crema. Jarella. Next word. That was just a hard one. Read this word.
Yalra. It's in like Spanish. What the fuck is this?
Read this word.
Mama.
What in the world is it? It's like a loop.
Cursive.
It's cursive.
Read this word.
Is that in a word?
Read this word.
What is the first letter?
Read this word.
Solera? Selena?
Helpra.
Read this word.
Cursive, that's what this is? But what is it saying?
I'm asking you.
I do not know.
Read this word.
Pellegra.
What's the first letter?
Y or G?
It's a Z. What has stripes?
Oh, man. The word on the card was zebra.
Yeah.
Zebra. I cannot even believe that. That it comes on the heels of those videos that they had of the kids in the high school in Pennsylvania that couldn't read, like they didn't know the words. They were printed and they didn't know the words that were that were written on. They've never heard of these words, let alone see them written cursively. Ken, your kids are younger than my kids. Are they capable of reading cursive writing?
I have no idea.
So you've never tried that with them?
I've never tried that with them. Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
And for me, I can read it as long as it is legible.
Yeah, okay.
My mother has, just almost perfect.
Beautiful handwriting.
Cursive handwriting.
Because not only did they teach them cursive handwriting, but they taught them penmanship.
Yes.
So they taught them how to do beautiful handwriting.
Yes.
We can't even do that nowadays.
Yeah, my cursive writing is terrible.
Wow.
I can do it, but it's terrible. So is just my regular handwriting.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's why they make, computers.
Yeah.
Because everything looks pretty good on a computer.
That's why it takes a lot now.
Yeah. All right. So at the moment, the Obama Presidential Center opening ceremony continues. And I'm watching kind of with some interest here because both of the Obama daughters are there. And man, they look like they don't want to be there. Michelle's smiling and, Obama's doing his thoughtful look. But the girls look like if they could tear themselves out of there, that they would do it in a heartbeat. It's pretty amazing. Joe Biden's got his sunglasses on. It's cloudy, and there's a threat of rain. But Joe Biden's got his sunglasses on, ladies and gentlemen. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Extra careful.
Oh, he didn't realize that was an applause line. Everybody's applauding, but Joe Biden is not. Yeah, it's pretty interesting what's going on there. While we're looking at the world's ugliest building, what has been described as a trash can, I actually saw it online just a little while ago that even people in Chicago say that it looks like a mausoleum. There's another building that's going to be opening a little closer to home that is absolutely beautiful. It's gorgeous. And you know why? Because President Trump said buildings in the United States should be beautiful. Yeah, I got that story for you. It's coming up here in just a couple of moments. It's 11:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy with Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and this morning we are out and about at my house, my brand new house that I've been talking about on the radio, with Nate from USS. What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm excellent. How about you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
We invited Nate out. Now, obviously, when you're a new homeowner, especially when you buy a house that's got a few years on it, you don't know what you're dealing with in terms of foundation. And I know that Nate knows a lot more about what I don't see and what I don't know about than I do. So bring the experts out and get them to check out your house.
Read this word.
Hey guys, Matt Murphy again with Nate with USS, and Nate has just wrapped up kind of a look at the house. And Nate, what'd you find?
Well, your house is in pretty good shape for the age of it. I had to look pretty hard to find.
Okay.
Your house being on a slope like it is here, I think we could do a lot of good by trying to terminate your downspouts a little
Okay.
further from the house there.
Okay.
Roof water is the killer of foundations, and so if we can just get it to a positive grade to drain away from your house, I think that's real cheap insurance.
You want to kind of get it out and downhill.
That's right. Yeah.
That's
So
the idea.
make sure that it doesn't come right back down towards the foundation walls, causing issues, settlement, or leakage.
Now, if folks are watching this video and they are like, we need to get Nate out to the house to do a look. I mean, it took, I watched you do it. It's, what, 30, 45 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
To do a comprehensive kind of an examination around the house. And they just give you a call and schedule?
Yeah, absolutely. You can call our main phone number, or you can call reach USSTN.com and schedule right through the website there. Our girls in the call center will get back to you just about immediately, as long as it's during business hours. So
this just makes a lot of sense, folks, for you guys to do an examination of your house like we've done, to check it out. I'm going to get those gutters done with Nate and his team at USS, and then we'll do a video and let you know how those look at the end of all of this. So thank you, guys.
Hey, that'd be great.
We appreciate you, brother.
Matt,
All
we
right.
appreciate you.
President Trump is not proposing an increase in student visas for Chinese students. The 600K references 2 years worth of visas, which is simply a continuation of existing policy.
I don't want 300,000 people a year from China in our country. I just don't.
No.
Because I think they spy. And I think that they're stealing
I don't even
our
think
intellectual
it's not even that
property.
we think they do.
They do.
They do it. Well, they got busted operating secret police stations in our country.
Yeah.
They got busted operating a secret biolab in California.
And why are they? That's right. I remember that.
They rode a spy balloon over our entire country. There should be.
And Joe Biden let it happen.
There should be no reason why we're doing this.
The Death Star.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah. We're watching. We're watching the Obama Presidential Center opening ceremony And I still don't understand the building because that's all writing on the left there. And it's not as if when you look at it, you can tell what it says.
I thought those were windows for a long time.
I did too.
I thought, you get close, I'm like, oh my God, it's writing.
Right. It kind of looks like just squiggly, like from far away, which is the only way you can see it because it's all the way at the top of that building.
Yeah.
It just looks like squiggle marks.
It looks like, somebody said it looks like a Klingon jail.
Yes. So that was in one of the newspapers, the Guardian or something said,
I don't know who designed it to the tune of God knows how much.
Yes. 480 million or something, some ridiculous amount of money.
Who goes to a library?
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, why do you have to have that many floors for the Obama presidential? Like, what's in there?
Well, stuff from his presidency.
Sure, but it takes up 25 floors.
But Nixon's tiny, and it has its actually because he's from Yorba Linda, California.
Yeah,
it has this little house where he was born and raised next to it. But and it's got the helicopter where he's waving.
Yeah,
but it's not that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a monstrosity.
It is.
So Benny Johnson, you know who he is, the podcaster. He was out and he's asking people on the street, what does it look like to you? And they look up at it and the one guy says, a mausoleum. And a girl looks up and she says, I guess it looks like a prison.
Yeah. You know what it looks like? It looks like L.A. County Jail.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. The LA County Jail, downtown LA, that is cinder block, and it looks just like that.
Yeah.
It's got the little slats where the kind of the light can shine in.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I'm like, that is so.
It's odd.
Yes.
It's an odd building that is, you would want that to reflect who you are.
Yeah.
And in some way reflect, I don't know, the grandeur of your presidency. I mean, he was the first black president and, why doesn't that speak to like the grandeur of who he allegedly was?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Again, somebody had to get that passed, and then they went, Obama, and everybody's like, oh yeah, that looks good. Like you've thought of nothing.
Yeah.
Because it looks very sterile.
Yeah.
You can say a lot about Obama, you like him, hate him, whatever. He doesn't come across as somebody who's very sterile and buttoned up and all. He comes across as cool. And, this just doesn't seem that way.
It doesn't.
But and again, for the money.
So on this day that we're watching this and the monstrosity that it is, have you seen the pictures of the new Chattanooga federal courthouse?
No.
It is stunningly beautiful. It's gorgeous. And, I've been to Chattanooga a couple of times, and I don't think Chattanooga is like this really, like overwhelmingly gorgeous place.
You don't think of it as like this is this beautiful metropolitan when you drive, when you come in and you see all the. No, it's not that.
No, but this is going to elevate the landscape around it. So the General Services Administration just okayed it. And what they're doing is consolidating a whole bunch of judicial functions within the city into this one building. And it's the classical architecture. It has this really formal facade, and the lighting on it is really beautiful. And it just gives this prominence. The Tennessee Star has talked about this. And the reason that they made it look like that is because President Trump said, hey, buildings need to be beautiful again in the United States. And so they built this gorgeous building. And I put I don't have a picture of it right now up on the YouTube, but I do have a picture of it on my X account. So visit me at Joan Jones WTN. You can check out the new federal building in Chattanooga that is beautiful, and prop that up against President Obama's monstrosity.
Yeah.
See which one you like better.
I wonder if he thinks, what the hell are these people doing?
Yeah.
This is not what
also,
I was told.
While you're sitting in the seat today, you really have to watch the two girls. What are their names? Sasha and Malia.
Yeah.
Yes, because first of all, they're older, and it's kind of shocking.
They're like women,
they're women now, and so it's shocking. Go, wow, they're older, but they look like there's not a thing in the world that they want to be doing more than just exiting.
Yeah. Well, I think at that point in time, you've been around that long. You know who your dad is. You don't want to.
Yeah.
You're not into politics. You want to go have fun with your friends. You're still in college. It's summertime in Chicago, and I got to go sit here for 2 hours in the heat so my dad can get a,
another applause, round of applause.
Absolutely.
What are you doing here today? I should have asked you about this a while ago.
You know what? We'll talk a little bit about the Iran deal. We got a bunch of other stuff to talk about. The IVF mix-up, which is, did you see that?
Yes, I did. God. Yes.
This is not what I ordered. I mean, we'll talk a bit about that. Bell's going to do his sports thing.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about how the World Cup has brought so many people here, and so many people that have come here are looking around going, Oh my God, I didn't realize America was
amazing. Yep.
So incredible.
Isn't it cool to watch it through their eyes and see like maybe what we've been missing?
Yeah, so much. Yeah. Because you know what? There's no politics involved in it. It's just pure enjoyment of food, the fun, the size of all the stuff. And I'm loving that.
Yep, it's cool stuff. All right, good. Sounds like a great show. Got to listen to Chad Benson coming up here. I hope y'all have a great weekend. It's now 12:01 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.